Hello, Marky Dragon, also known as Marcus Eichenberry in real life, and welcome to another roundtable for Infestation, where we shoot anybody after asking if they're friendly. Of course, we've got some guests with us today. We've got RussianKaliber. Welcome, Russian. Oh, let me unmute you here. There we go. I've unmuted you.
All right, about now, can you hear me okay?
Yep, hear you okay. And we've got Artimis Knives with us as well. I know I've been at the end of his bullets a few times. Welcome, Artimis.
Hi.
Hi.
So, thank you for joining us today. This is a live show, so any of you who are watching this live, we've posted a link in chat where you can join us if all the spots are not full. And and then at the end of this episode, we're going to do a drawing for a free account to anybody who's a follower, so hang around for that.
Wait, listen to me.
Listen
to
you.
If you can hear me on this thing.
Yes, I can hear you, Joe.
Can you hear me in there?
Yes, you're on the show. How can I help you?
Can you hear me in the video?
This is Dr. Ruth Westheimer.
You can't hear me in there?
Okay. Maybe you need to be a little bit older to know that that was a sex therapist show, but you know. So, okay, Russian, welcome. I think this is the first time I've had you on the show.
I think so. Thank you. Glad to be here. Always been an honor to talk to you, my friend.
Yes, thank you. I know I've had you watching the show a few times, but it's the first time that you've been here. So, now, what is your position here with the company? You do art, but what does that mean?
It means we make pixels, and then we enlarge them to make them look even better on the screen. So there's a lot of stuff like this happening. But basically what we do is everything from environment art to animations to characters to lighting, weapons. But definitely not the gameplay, and I get a lot of questions about wipes and things like this, and I have no idea about those, and I feel always stupid saying, guys, I seriously have no idea when the wipe is coming or if the log boxes are going to be transferred to your new accounts. And
right.
So pretty much everything to do with pretty pictures and art.
So everything about art today, okay? And so now that welcome, Artimis. Glad to have you here, and it's neat to see somebody who's a player who's made the team.
Yeah, exciting. It's definitely unexpected.
So now with Russian being in charge of art, are you guys in the same building?
We are not.
You're not. Have you hit him up yet for a purple paisley sniper rifle? To go with your hat.
I've not even actually asked for my own personal hat in game, other than months back. I mean, I'm sure that maybe that's something that we can get at some point, but I know right now basically Russian has been very busy with the California map stuff and all the artwork for that, so that it can be pushed on to us to work on further from there.
Yeah. So tell us just a little bit about what you're doing now at Hammer Point and how you ended up actually being there.
Well, I basically, I was banned from the forums, and I've been probably a very vocal voice in the community, and probably not the friendliest person most of the time, but it's come basically from my heart because I really enjoyed the game, and it turned into, streaming was kind of a job for me as well. So it just, kind of all just rolled into. I never expected, the videos that I made would, put me where I am. I don't know anyone else that I've ever met in my life that's done things that I've done and then had it turn out for the better. So it's definitely been an interesting scenario. But what I'm in charge of now is, I already was reading the forums anyways. So now I'm basically, I have a little bit more position of power when reading the forums, and I can, get things presented to the right people now in real time, instead of just posting on the forums or maybe yelling on my YouTube or my Twitch and saying, hey, pay attention to me, what the fuck's happening? So I kind of can be that liaison now between the community and the rest of the office, because I'm somebody who's been playing the game about 12 hours a day for almost 9 months straight with a few breaks here and there. So I figure if there's somebody who knows about what's going on in it, I hopefully have a pretty good idea. Obviously not everything, but you know, I'm a giant funnel of information via my stream and forums and my YouTube. You know, people are constantly sending me bugs, exploits, things like that, saying, "Can you bring that to the light?" And so now that, you know, I'm on the inside, I can actually really help fix a lot of those things in real time.
Yeah. Well, that's great. It's really great that somebody from the community can end up working for the community.
Yeah.
So
I think it's, you know, an awesome opportunity that they gave me. So, you know, when I was presented with it, I was like, of course, you know, I love the game, and, you know, I want to see it succeed. So.
He's a great asset to us, seriously.
Well, are you sure you guys didn't just pay him to be silent?
Well, that is one thing that some people are a little bit worried about, because, yeah, I, you know, obviously was a very vocal member of the community, and, you know, that's probably pretty frowned upon. Of course, I still want to be a pretty ruthless critic, and that was something I made clear with Sergey, was that, you know, I'm still going to basically, I might not necessarily put out, you know, a YouTube video bashing Hammerpoint. I now have, you know, some other methods of getting my point across to say, hey, we have a problem.
Well, you have an ear, because you're right there now.
Exactly. So, of course, I'm still going to be vocal about my criticism and things like that. It just may not be as probably outlandish as it previously was.
Imagine if it worked out like this for White House. You talk crap about the president, and you end up working in the White House. That'd be so awesome, man.
So that's kind of exactly what happened. You know, it's literally one of those situations where it's like, hey, I'm going to skewer this guy, and we'll see where it goes. You know, I said from the start, I was like, I'm probably about to get banned, and that'll be the end of me in the game. I'll just move on to something else. But, you know, it turned into this, and hey, now I'm basically doing something I love, and I read the forums all the time. People can say that, you know, I'm not listening or Hammerpoint's not listening. Well, I am personally listening and relaying that feedback.
Cool.
So, I mean, I have all that stuff on my desktop. You can see it whenever I stream now. I've got little documents. It's like forum stuff to discuss, ideas to discuss, and I basically just take things straight from the forums, put them in there, and then, you know, there's a much more complex process than just saying, hey, let's just add it to the game. You know, then I can take it to Apple, assess it for coding, see, you know, what's basically actually going to go into getting this in the game, and how much resources we have available to it right now. Of course, we're still trying to, you know, I've been trying to light a fire under their ass, now my ass, to finish the Super Zombie and deliver on the promises that were initially promised, and, you know, got us onto Steam to begin with, and all those things. Delivering on the things that, you know, have been promised to the game, and making sure that we stay true to that.
So now, Russian, you have been pretty silent as of late because you've been working really hard on California, I understand.
Yeah, it's been pretty hectic here, man, with the California, and at the same time trying to continue with making more art features for the other gameplay features that we're working on, you know, including the strongholds, crafting, and all that kind of stuff, and vehicles. Yeah, that's basically what's been the challenging part. At the same time, making sure that California gets done on time, and it looks consistent, you know, since it's going to be way bigger than Colorado map. So it's a lot of fun, though. However, it's a lot of fun when you love doing what you're doing, and you're doing it every day, and even sometimes on the weekends. It's actually a lot of fun. So yeah, I haven't been streaming as much, or, you know, participating in the community events. But I'm sorry, guys. I will soon, though. I will soon. Yeah.
So now you provided me with an image here that I'll bring up on the stream, and this is an actual picture from the California map. Is that correct?
Yeah. This is the outside of what we call the Los Angeles area. So you can see now the difference between, you know, Colorado terrain, Colorado trees, where you got a lot of forests. In California, and specifically in the Southern California area, you don't get as many forests, you know, unless you go farther into the north towards the Tahoe. So this is what you're going to be dealing with this kind of a terrain.
Well, it's looking good. It looks mighty tasty.
I really like.
Thank you, guys.
I really like those bushes that are, you know, the bullets will go through them, but they provide cover, and you can go bushy bush to bushy bush. And I feel like that's something that's definitely missing from current Colorado. And something that, you know, is coming to B2 a little bit as well. I actually stole Russian's textures with Pivo, and we're just going to put some of them into
You
V2, 'cause I think
thieving son of a...
I feel like it's so necessary though, because right now there's only the big cedar trees that provide brush cover underneath them, and so adding those type of bushy trees to go and hide in and leapfrog tree to tree are very. I think that's a very important part of gameplay.
Totally, I agree.
Yeah. So let's open it up here. We've got several guests here who are also on the Hangout, and let's open it up to some questions.
All right.
That would be anybody's cue to speak up.
I guess the biggest thing that people are worried about, what about the sniper wipe? The people talking about wanting to wipe the snipers?
So let's have RussianKaliber answer that. No, I'm kidding.
Well,
he has no idea about it.
It's because the Colorado thing, V2 and Artemis and.
Okay, so basically, right now we acknowledge that there is an issue with sniper rifles. I mean, there's probably you recognize it in your chat often that there's people saying they would play if there was less snipers and things like that. Right now, there's just. And especially on V2, I feel like there's going to be a lot of people who are coming out of the woodwork that haven't necessarily played lately, and it's going to literally turn into Snipe Fest 2013. And the game is already kind of going that way right now. Everybody, sniper rifles are basically a commodity in the game and not a rare item at this point. And that is partially due to crazy spawn rates, dupe issues, all sorts of issues in the past, things like that, which plagued the game at a prior time, but now, those bugs are behind us, I think, for the most part. And of course, there's some new systems for spawning items in V2, so that we could have a lot more control over the rare items and the trade value items. And right now, I mean, it's just kind of crazy when people can run around with a sniper rifle, die with it, and then pull another one out. I mean, it used to be like when sniper rifles first were appearing in the game back in January, February, March, after the first wipe. I mean, it was a serious event to bring out a sniper rifle. I mean, I'm pretty sure a virgin had to be sacrificed, a goat had to be sacrificed. I mean, it was a pretty serious deal to bring out a sniper rifle back in the day. Now there's whole teams of 10 snipers, and I mean, how do you even deal with it? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's basically there's a lot more snipers in the system right now than was ever intended, and that is due to dupes, due to spawn rate changes, things like that. It's just we kind of have an ugly situation where the whole dynamic of the game is really tough to play. People are not going into open areas because everybody's equipped with a sniper rifle right now. Like not everybody, of course. There's people without them, but a large majority of people on, say, veteran servers, it is literally Sniper Fest 2013. I actually refuse to play on them. I don't like the veteran servers, even though I know there's going to be less cheating. It's because I know that everyone there is just sniping. And sometimes I like a little bit more depth to my gameplay, where I can spot someone, stalk them, set up a trap or an ambush for them or something like that, instead of just, hey, I see you, you're dead. And I don't think that a survival game was ever meant to be played like that, spot on sight, you're dead instantly, no matter the distance.
Yeah, I actually agree with that as a gamer too, because sometimes I wish we would have days where it's just one day for melee. Everybody runs and kills each other with shovels and stuff.
Yeah. That's why I try to schedule events like that on my stream, and I'm actually going to try and do public events like that. But I mean, I really like the fist weapons and some of the melee battles, or SMG battles, things like that. It ends up turning into so much more fun gameplay than just, I'm dead and I had no way of stopping it. I mean, when you get shot with a sniper bullet, it's just over. It doesn't matter how good you are at the game, you're just dead.
Yeah.
There's not really much else. For
example, today on my stream, I was stalking a Bambi. I could have killed him. I had a handgun and everything. I could have killed him. I'm like, screw this, I'm going to run up on him and punch him. I was literally 2 feet from this person, and they got sniped. And I was like, really? Really? After 5 minutes of stalking this person, you get sniped when I'm 2 feet from them? So there's a lot of snipers, and it's really hard, especially if you're playing solo, and they're sitting up on garage or stuff like that. It's like, what are you going to do? There's nothing you can do.
Have you guys talked about?
It's really delicate. It's a really delicate thing to handle either way. Of course, people really want their sniper rifles right now, so we're trying to figure out a way to
not piss off the snipers.
Just quit spawning them for a while. They'll weed themselves out.
Yeah. I mean, that's almost how they are right now. They're very rare, but there was a period when they were so common that my best sniper run ever, I found 4 sniper rifles at an airport in a single run.
Wow.
That era of the game, I mean, that's back when I at one point I think I had over 300 M107s from that period and like 300 lasers, and it's just like
I've been advocating for survival again because the spawn rates on everything have been too high, and it really needs to be a lot more survival again. Right now I get so many guns that it's easy.
I agree. There's no too many assault rifles. I mean, all that stuff. So it's just trying to find that happy balance, and I think that we have a lot more control over that with the new tools for V2. And so, I mean, I've been even saying since 6 months ago, no association with Hammerpoint, etc. I wanted to wipe a long time ago because I was like, this game's undergoing so many drastic changes. Like, you know, it's had too many different eras of the game of finding things, and, you know, if we can just nail down a solid, just happy map with happy spawn rates and all that, and just kind of reboot the thing.
Bear Grylls.
Well, wasn't there also, didn't they say they would never ever do a wipe again?
Well, yeah, of course, that was something that was stated, so, you know, that's why, you know, I don't think it can ever happen. But I think that we're in kind of like we're about to be set up in a really good period of the game where I think it's going to be a ton of fun to go and loot items.
I mean, if you guys were going to wipe snipers only, I think it'd make the game so much better if you just wiped everything and everybody started over.
Well, so then that's right. That's the thing. It's like, well, if
don't just focus on the snipers because the people that.
So, but then there's people with GC and people who, you know, bought stuff with GC or purchased GC legitimately, bought things from the store. It's you know, a giant fiasco. If the game had never had a store and never had any of that, a wipe would never be something that I think would be a big deal. But because there's lots of real money tied up, it's a very delicate process.
Have you guys, I know it's been discussed before, but discussing just conditions, maybe having servers without sniper rifles where you're not allowed to bring them in?
Yep, that is something.
Or where they
the
don't spawn on them either?
Yeah, they don't spawn.
It's actually a constant conversation.
I mean, that's what the community has been asking about for a while now, you know. And I remember when it was addressed before on another roundtable, Kook said if the voice of the community is large enough, then it'd be something you guys consider. And I think the voice of the community is pretty large already for that to happen.
At least on private servers.
This is what I just linked in chat right there. If you want to pull that up, that's what I combined the other sniper threads into right now. That's most of the feedback. There's a couple feedbacks regarding maybe stamina required to shoot and things like that. Like it will deplete X amount of stamina. But we're basically exploring a lot of options for this because obviously, you know, we don't really want to wipe. You know, the game really is very deep right now, and taking away all that stuff I don't think is fair to people. But just, I mean, right now we have a major problem with sniper rifles. I don't think any of the other stuff is nearly as big of a problem as the snipers right now. People quit the game when they get sniped and they just never come back because they can't compete.
For me, something that I would like to see, you know, since California is up in the air, and I don't know, I've heard that it's not doable, but having a separate GI for California, in my opinion, would be great for the community because it's going to bring back that whole like exploration, trying to build up a GI, trying to find guns. It's gonna bring the community something new and fresh. Whereas if we have access to the global that we currently have, then it's just going to be like, okay, find the best spot to PvP and let's just PvP because we have X amount of guns in our global inventory.
It's actually a good idea, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
I think
a lot of the explorers are gone right now. I think that we've literally boiled it down to just hardcore PvPers at this point. I mean, we really have burned off all the fat in the game, and it's just people who like killing people, and we've lost all the explorers. So I want the explorers back.
I agree, and there has to be a way to get those people back in here, and starting on a new map with a new GI is probably one of the best ways to get them back in.
I disagree because I think no matter what, people will always just farm the areas that spawn lots of guns, you know. I think it'll take a whole maybe like a week before people figure out where to find guns in California.
But that's one of the new things with the new spawn system that I can't really get into heavy detail about, but we will have a lot of control over that. And one of the coolest things about it is not being able to camp a spawn. There's not this item box spawn where people would, you know, go and look for item boxes. That was like a temporary ESP fix kind of change solution, and that's something that now there literally will be true randomization with what you're finding, which will really encourage exploration of the map. Things like that. It's not going to be like, hey, I found where the sniper spawns, and I'm just going to camp that spot, you'll probably never see the sniper rifle there ever again. You know, another player will find it there at some other point during the day, etc. But you personally, you could hunt that one spot you found. You probably will never find it there ever again. So it's kind of a unique way of controlling the spawns for them to really encourage players to explore. Because right now there's too much of this. People find what they want and then they sit there. Like, I think the Campos Bridge, it's really cool, but obviously there was a problem there because it was a gold mine of gear. All you had to do was just go into Campos, go to the top of the bridge, and be like, you know, if there's good guns here, loot them, and then hop and do it again and again and again. And I don't want that type of gameplay at all. I want players to really actually have incentive to go and explore the world instead of just loot one area endlessly, endlessly, endlessly. So
yeah,
that's something with the new spawn system that's not currently happening right now. But that's something V2 has a totally different way that the items enter the system.
For like myself, my first day back, right, everyone's like, oh, jump on premium, go to Campos Bridge. I was like, okay, I went to check it out, and I found 6 ARs.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that. So stuff like that shouldn't be happening. Because what are you going to do with 6 assault rifles? You only need one.
You can do a lot of things.
Not kill a sniper?
You can be a loot pinata to some lucky sniper.
So, Russian, maybe this falls under your purview. Have you ever thought about adding weather to the game?
Actually, it's one of the most favorite things on the table for the team to get working. But there's some technical issues that come with this, especially if it's raining, for example. How do we make sure that all of the materials on the rocks, the grass, the road, everything looks wet, right? So it's actually a lot of work to do to make sure you synchronize that with the, for example, for rain. And even for the snow, you have to create the frost on everything. So it's a doable thing, but it just takes a lot of time. And this is something that we definitely want to do.
Also the optimization side of it. It's just more graphically intense, no matter how you cut it. It's going to ask more of people's PCs than it's already asking.
Yeah, it's definitely extra memory pass on that.
I got our question.
What's up?
What was the decision behind making more green, more grassy areas, everything overgrown? Was that more of a gameplay idea that you guys wanted to implement, or was that just to make it look more pretty?
Actually, this was done. We were watching this documentary called Life After People. This is one of our favorite things to do. Is besides going out there and taking pictures, we actually like to sit down and do research on how would the weathering and the whole post-apocalyptic world look like, after 6 to 7 years of complete collapse from the government and everything. And we figured out that actually a lot of buildings will start having a lot of growth on them, and we started looking at how it would be possible to do, and this is what we decided to do. It's mostly for cosmetics. If you humans don't do much to clean up after themselves, 6 years after, there's going to be all kinds of shit on the walls growing. That was pretty much just a little cosmetic addition.
And then I have one more question for Art, because seems like you've got your hand pretty much in V2. My question is, for the most of the map that you're going over and you're updating the map, are you guys taking into consideration that time has passed and these towns have now, probably have upgraded their defenses for zombies and stuff like that to make it more accessible and more engaging for combat inside these towns?
Yeah, definitely, Saint. We talked about it. We actually concepted some of this stuff on 2D first, trying to paint out how it would look like, and hopefully we can actually implement that in California. But again, this kind of stuff will add a little bit more extra memory because you're actually putting a lot more geometry into this, a lot more polygons, a lot more textures to make it look, what you're just talking about. But it's definitely something that, if we get a green light from Sergey on this, we'll go right ahead and do it for sure.
Now, speaking of polygons, I've been getting serious stutter when I get close to any town that has a massive amount of barricades, and I've actually died because I'm lagging. It's not FPS drop. It's actual like memory trying to process all
I've
these.
been having that problem in Clearview.
Yeah. So is there anything that is it because of the artwork on the shields or just the physical placement of those barricades that's creating this lag?
Actually, it's a good question. I mean, I think it depends on the amount of barricades you're placing, because the more objects you place, obviously you're gonna have a problem with frame rate. So I would need to actually have more specifics and maybe test it out together with you or with other people to see exactly where the frame rate starts to drop and what are you doing. How many objects you're placing. What about other players near you? Are they placing anything? So that's something that has to be figured out with testing.
I know you guys usually do seasonal items. Are you guys planning anything for Halloween?
Oh yeah, you know it.
All right, cool.
Okay, so when are we gonna see that stuff?
Probably on Halloween.
So, and of course, then the day after Halloween is the day to get drunk.
You're talking about the Vegas trip, right?
Yeah.
Oh, livers are gonna get failed.
Russian's not even gonna be there.
I know this is stupid. I'm talking like, oh my god, we're gonna party up, raising the roofs.
Russian's gonna be there on Skype. I'm getting wasted too.
No way.
That's too bad.
Dudes, I haven't had like vacation since, I don't know, last summer, because Christmas, while everybody was doing their skiing stuff, I was with the community hanging out and feeling really horrible about the whole thing with Steam, so I didn't even get the vacation. So unfortunately the vacation somehow conflicts with this Vegas trip. Hangover 4 will have to wait.
I see. Artemis, will you be there at Vegas?
Yes, I will.
Cool. See you there then. So.
Yeah, we have some other exciting stuff too, planned for that. Besides just having a good time and drinking. Drinking's not mandatory, of course. Everyone, can enjoy it completely sober as well. Just should be a fun, whole community get together and some other stuff.
Alcohol is not the answer.
Yeah.
It's your answer though, Russian. Let's be real.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna try it as an answer, that's for sure. So. Okay, we've got some other people here in the hangout. We've got what is that? Flottenroy and Gina and Lyle. What's on your guys' mind?
Well, along the same lines as something that Yeti was saying, I'm not actually Buffy, but I'd prefer if people know me as that. There are random spots around, I notice a clear view, but out in just the middle of nowhere that you get that same kind of almost what everybody refers to as like barricade lag. But it just seems to be like certain areas where you just stutter through the world. And I've died several times that way. Do you think that I think that there may be I guess I'm just addressing there. I think there may be a bigger issue than everybody realizes. It may not even have anything to do with the barricades. So is that something anybody else has noticed? I guess that was my main question, because I know over by the Six Spawn near Clearview, it happens really frequently.
Mm-hmm. There's nothing by Dead Spawn that I could see when I was having major lag problems. So it's a video lag. It's not a connection thing. Or at least not as far as I can tell. My frames just drop unexpectedly.
It's actually worth investigating, because there's just a lot of objects placed on the Clearview besides the other issues. There's a lot of ambient stuff.
Is that on a server where there's, say, 99 people versus a server that, say, there's one person?
No, actually, I noticed it. Yeah, I noticed it on like all different kinds. I can be on 100 pub 1, or I can be, where there's only 2 or 3 people, on a premium server, say. So
it happens on my private server when I'm the only one.
Yeah, it's in the Dead Spawn area, Clearview.
I think it's just.
I think that there are zombies underground tunneling their way to the city.
Plausible.
And
We got to
No
keep track of
comment.
them even though we can't see them. So,
The super zombies hiding under there.
right.
I got
Sewers.
I got a quick topic that I want to discuss real quick. Missions. Seems like this system was implemented but hasn't been really looked at or even trying to been improved on. Not really used right now, to be honest. You see people just do like call for help requests or just do it just to troll or be an ass. Is there any ideas or anything going forward that you guys have been looking at to try to improve on this system?
Do you want to answer that, Russian? I'm not sure what Russian knows about it right now versus what I know about it. And I'm not sure what we're too keen on revealing yet. Basically, there are some plans with missions. I mean, it's been in development, and type of like a little quest, I guess a pseudo quest kind of. Maybe you'll have to go and maybe slay some zombies, or pick up a certain item that is not necessarily an ultra rare item, but something that you could go and find, and have tasks of some kind that you can grab your friends, and that's basically something that has been discussed and is in development. But
Well, I know for sure we actually written down about 100 or so missions, and as far as the implementation of them in the game, that's more of a Sergey question.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure when they will be in. I know that people have been requesting them a lot, and that is something that is planned, but I do not know the timeline on when they will pop up.
I've got a question.
Go ahead.
So, you guys have talked about you want to try to get this game back to a survival status. I mean, right now, for me, I have a private server, and my clan, we end up going off of our server just to PvP, but that's all this game seems to be about anymore is PvP. I mean, everybody has the guns, we've talked about the wiping and all that, but there's not much else to do. We've explored all the current cities. I'm desperately waiting for the new Colorado map to come out, just for something new. Do we have anything coming up soon?
I mean, I agree that it's become kind of stale, and that's why I think everybody's just boiled it down to just killing each other, and that's mostly the personalities that are left in the game, is just hardcore player killers. I mean, this is kind of a full loot FPS MMO at this point. There's not a lot of full loot games that are even living right now. Darkfall is one of them that comes to mind, but that's more on the magic side of things. And so obviously the game is forever going to... The center of it is people dying and dropping all the items. Like, we talked about the reputation thing and possibly changing the way that works, but there's so much feedback against it that, that people are always going to be killing each other. I think that the more cover players have, the more things they can hide behind, and the less lethal weapons they're equipped with and armed with, the less likely everybody's going to be killing each other constantly. And so right now, there's not a lot to do other than kill each other, but missions will hopefully provide that, some more incentive for things to do, as well as anything else that's planned with that. Basically, Sergey's side of things now is that he wants to figure out things for PvE players to do. There's been PvE players complaining they don't have a lot to do, so now we're looking for ways to have more PvE-oriented things in the game. And
What
the
about,
first step of that...
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say the first step of that is basically making sure that the Easter egg hunt is fun. I've been a huge proponent of Easter egg hunts. I want every day to wake up and feel like it's Easter morning, and I'm going to go run around the backyard and see what I find. And, it's kind of like you get that excitement that you don't know what you're going to find, and I think a lot of people play for that. So, and I think a lot of those players are gone now.
I remember back when there's the super zombie. I remember spending hours on my stream trying to hunt down this super zombie. I was like, I want to find this. I want to kill it. Those things were fun to do. So if we can bring some of that aspect back, I think it'd be phenomenal.
I completely agree.
It's actually what we're trying to do, besides vehicles, crafting, and other things, is finding a way. How are we going to get people interested in doing stuff together as a team? So this is one of the things we're definitely more excited than anything right now.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things to look at is the community shaped your game. From launch to now, you guys branched out and started off with an idea of making a zombie MMO, and then from there it basically turned into a deathmatch, open world deathmatch shooting game, just like Artemis said. One of the things that I think you at Hammerpoint have to look at is, since the community shapes your game, how can you kind of influence the community to also shape the PvE aspect in that. And I think one of the big things is the missions and putting other things in there, like maybe, hey, if you guys go and you find a super zombie down by the airport, if you kill it, now there's a shop down there near the airport that you can actually turn the currency in for that super zombie. But if he's alive, that shop's not going to be there. Or like if a team takes Clearview, they own that point in Clearview and they can set up barricades on the roadblocks of Clearview. Like things like that shape maps and make it more dynamic for the players is what's going to bring PvE players back, because it gives them incentive to not only do the PvE, but also do the PvP aspect of the game. It has to be dynamic. It can't be static. The reason right now why the game is stale is because it's static. The only thing you do is spawn, go kill in Clearview, go loot campos, rinse and repeat. And that's what's making the game stale right now.
It's very sandboxy, and nobody has any direction for them to go in. And, I mean, one thing that we're for sure very aware of is that we don't have to do anything at this point to encourage PvP. If anything, it needs to be as many deterrents for PvP as possible, because players will hunt each other down regardless of anything we put in the game. And I don't think that that's ever going to change.
Something that I've always said, zombies are just too easy. They're not even a threat. Like, what's the point of even having them in the game if you don't have to even worry about them when you're playing? I'd like to see a variety of zombies where it makes you think, man, do I want to shoot my gun and engage this guy because I can see this whatever zombie right there that's going to F me up. So I think adding more PvE where it's actually difficult is going to encourage PvE players to play, because they're going to want to group up and work together, because they know if they go into Clearview and they have to fire their gun, they might end up dying because of those zombies.
Well, I agree, and I think the first step with that is having some other zombie types so that we can put some real big, ugly bruiser zombies in that, you might want to kill a player, and then you go, wait a second, I don't want to piss that thing off, and, the two players will then leave each other alone. They might see each other on opposite sides just 100 feet apart, but they know that whatever obnoxious zombie is in the way that is really going to cause mayhem, and it might not be worth engaging. I think that's like an excellent deterrent.
What about doing something like putting a lot of extra risk into the game from the environment? Something like changing the day and night cycles so that the night cycle lasts like 15 minutes, day cycle like an hour, 45 minutes in real time. But then during that night cycle, we have, all the zombies become way more aggressive. Maybe they're alerted much better. They can sprint faster.
It's actually something that's been discussed.
Okay, because that would add a lot more survival and trying to barricade yourselves in. It's like, oh shit, it's getting night. We got to all hunker down. We might be fighting the people across the street, but at that point, both parties are hunkering down to try and survive the night, and then we'll resume killing each other when the light comes up. Yeah. And that would be a good idea.
There actually is a couple things being looked at for that specifically, and to give you a little more detail on them, I mean, things that are possibly being explored for that are that that night is obviously going to be much more dangerous, but also much more rewarding. Like maybe loot tables might shift a little bit during the evening, and maybe some scarier zombies will be coming out to guard said loot, guard potential spawns. There's no guarantee that you'd get it, but just basically so that there's more of a difference between the day and the night cycle than just, oh, it's suddenly dark, now I need night vision, or I need gamma, or I need sweet effects. But maybe, hey, it's getting nighttime, let's team up because let's go to, a place where we know, maybe the super zombie does come out at night, etc. Things like that. So, I mean, that's definitely stuff that's being discussed and ways to make it fun. It's just, an implementation thing right now.
I can tell you for my play style, If I'm playing by myself and it starts to get dark, I log off until it gets light again. And it's just because, yeah, sure, I could put sweet effects on, or I could adjust my gamma or whatever, but those are like game altering from outside of the game and not playing the game the way it was intended. And so when I'm going up against other people, I don't know, maybe I should have some stats on whether I get killed more at night than I do in the daytime. It's just
actually no secret that there's less people online at night. At night, people stop playing.
I think the night cycle should be smaller.
I agree with that
shorter duration, and but higher risk. So take it down from whatever it is. What is it? An hour and a half long now?
It's something
like
crazy long, that's for sure. And I've actually even mentioned dusk and dawn as two major problems with it, because dusk and dawn count as light in the current cycle. They are still very, very, very dark during those periods. So I want to even move the dusk and dawns 2 hours into the night on both sides of the spectrum, in the PM and the AM, which will create more day.
Yeah.
Now,
well, that would make it more enjoyable for me.
Here's something that I'd like to bring up. I know we're talking about all this other stuff, how to make the game PvE, but lock boxes, I think, are terrible for this game. My reason is I'll be battling somebody on top of, let's say, Garage or Big Market. There's 3 guys up there. I'll shoot 2 guys. They all have sniper rifles. I'll take out 2 of the guys. I'll go up there. I'll kill the 3rd guy. All 3 snipers are banked, and he had a Kruger against me because they're just putting in a lockbox. So
I completely agree. I fucking hate that too. And I actually brought that up, but I don't know of a way that I can possibly present that and get it really evaluated. But dude, the exact same thing. It's been happening since they went in. Everybody just camps their lockbox and they shoot from their lockbox, and as soon as one of them dies, their friend just puts all the important shit in, puts all the body armor, and then they're just like, fuck it, kill me, I'm unarmed.
Well, something I think that might help is having only certain designated areas for lockboxes outside of the city, away from spawn points. I think that might, it allows people to still have the lockboxes in a proximity of Clearview and whatever towns, but you can't actually spawn them in town to be put in that situation where, oh, my buddies are killed, let me grab their stuff, put it in a lockbox, and then I'll have a handgun. So if the guy kills me, he gets a handgun.
And what about people on Sniper Hill? They do the same thing.
Why don't we just allow lockboxes to be just on private servers?
I mean, that's a potential solution for sure.
That's actually a really good idea.
Now the question is, will Sergey go for it?
No.
There's always that.
So
There's
I mean,
no way. It's a moneymaker.
That no matter what, we have to go through that. So we have to figure out a way to present that and make sure that it's positive for the entire game.
I think anything that restricts people from doing anything in sort of a sandbox or an MMO game is a big no-no. I understand that it's a problem, but I just think if you're going to restrict people to that point, then what about the people that do play on public servers and they don't have a private server?
Well, I mean, you also got to look at it this way. You guys are talking about adding more survivability, adding more PvE content. We already have the PvP. You guys said that yourselves. By you adding lockboxes into the game, you just made the whole community lazier. Because now they don't even need to go back to the safe zone. They just throw the lockboxes on random servers and just go camp those spots. So now you're just killing the gameplay even more by having even the lockboxes in the game.
Yeah,
that's what
I'm not a fan of lockboxes. I'm not a fan.
They're not gonna obviously get rid of them. So.
If I may say,
that's something that's gonna change.
If you put it in like a designated area, limiting from inside town or like Sniper Hill, for example, where you can have lockboxes on any server, but you can't place them vicinity of the city. Well, yes, you can have your lockbox on whatever server you want. If you don't have a private server, you can still put it on a public server. But your whole survivability, you got to get from in town back to your lockbox instead of, oh, I'm on Garage, oh, my 2 buddies are dead, let me grab their stuff, throw it in a lockbox.
Still got to run the lockbox back eventually.
You could also combat that by reworking lockboxes, maybe not making it so that they hold so many things. you're not going to be able to put everybody's stuff inside a lockbox. You know, those kinds of things could also, you know, instead of maybe getting rid of them, maybe rework the way they actually function. Maybe make it a longer process to get into them or something along those lines.
Those all sound like nerfs.
Oh.
That'll just tick people off.
Yeah, so I mean that's one of the
so we're
things
getting rid of
that's
them.
like,
I mean, no matter what you do, it's going to
yeah.
make them mad.
That's a
it's
major
already
nerf.
in the game, so how do you touch it at this point? It's kind of like...
Well, you just make it so that they're not available anymore. If you want them removed from the game, they'll remove themselves by attrition. If you don't want them, it's just like the snipers. You know, if there's not as much spawning, there won't be.
Yeah, but lockers.
There won't be as much. Well, and lockers do despawn. I know, because I lost about 10 or 15 of them a couple of weeks ago, because I didn't know that the difference between having to pull something in and out of it as opposed to having to put in the combination and just unlock it. I wasn't going around unlocking them, making sure that they were refreshed. I didn't know I had to pull something out and put something back in, and I lost a bunch of them. So...
There's some people in chat that are saying that they want to voice their opinions. There's the link. Come right in. Don't be scared.
Yes, well, this is the end of the show. I'm sorry. I know it's bad timing, but we've got time for like one more question, and then we're wrapping it up and on to the next show. And we're going to do a drawing for an Infestation account right after the show, too. So, yeah, and we're full here in the Hangout. I don't know if there is more room either. So, so sorry guys. We'll have to do this another time. All of you that have other questions, we do this roundtable weekly. So, and I'm sure at some point we can get Artimis or RussianKaliber back. And
of course, I'll always be here. So I mean, if you want me to participate, I will be here, and I will do my best to answer as many questions as I can with the knowledge that I have available to me.
Yeah.
Same here, guys. I mean, a lot of you have gameplay questions, but, you know, art, as far as the art goes, let us know. I'll come and join you guys again with no problems. Actually, it's an honor to be here, so anytime, my friends.
The only piece of art that I want is I want a cape that I can wear. It has, like, my dragon on the back, and when I run, it floats out like that, you know?
I have an art question.
That'll get you killed more.
I
So
know.
we have one more time for one more, right?
Yep, go ahead.
This is our question for Russian. The women models. I remember you saying that the rig that they use is still the male model, is just stretched out a little bit. Is this in the pipeline to get them redone for a California release, or is there even ideas of getting this remade?
Oh, Saint.
You know, I've been asking this since last year.
Oh, I know.
Because the women are hideous.
It's really important to you.
It is, man.
And I'll see what I can do.
I mean, to be fair, it's pretty important to me too, but it sounds super girly if I say it, so let's say just take it.
I personally think that the women in game look like they're running around with a horse between their legs. So I hate those.
Bow-legged, yeah.
A vehicle between the legs. Well, I'll definitely. This is something that I always wanted to do myself, and because it annoys me that the female skeleton has male skeleton, but one of the we only have one animator on the team right now, and he's swamped with so much stuff. But we definitely need to address this. There's no excuse for that.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, guys. Thank you to our guests, Artimis, Knives, and RussianKaliber, and everybody else here who joined us on the Hangout. That is it for this episode. If you're watching live, don't go anywhere. We're going to do a drawing for a new account when we come back. And if you're watching on YouTube, you just have to wait till next week. And everybody, same time, same channel next week. And look forward to seeing y'all. So
thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Yep.